Marshall Peak, Chapter 11. Do good, and in the end, you will be sent to heaven. Suddenly, the Sky Tower disciple walked out to the crowd and circled around. His expression slowly turned to one of mockery and arrogance. But the two handmen were not easily mocked and creased their faces. "You little brat, walking around in circles has made this uncle dizzy. Do you want to be the same?" The youngster just snickered. Standing before the two men, watching the poisoned man, he said, "Your face is ashen. Looks like your poisoning isn't simple." "Of course, it's not," he viciously responded. "If it were not, why would I be here and with my brother instead of at the doctor? We're here to reveal this boss black heart and true colors, hoping that no one will buy from his store again and suffer as we have." This made Boss his face pale, for he didn't know what the goal of these two men was. He would understand if it were extorting money, but their motives were very puzzling and unclear. Just when he was pondering this, Xianxia softly inquired, "Uncle He, did you offend anybody during this time?" Thinking hard, Boss, he miserably wailed, "No one." "Then could it be that your rice shop prevented someone from earning money?" Even though Xianxia was young, he had experienced many things. "So this thought was not impossible. This is just a humble job to survive. How could I prevent others from their income?" Now this was weird. Staring at the ground, Xianxia thought hard but was still confused. Then, the Sky Tower disciple sneered and asked the two men a question. They shouted out, "Look, trickery!" While shouting, the man resorted to a trick to open the black heart of the poisonous apple. This surprised people around, for the morning had been quite sluggish. The Han man was wildly hopping about while his fists were clenched. Jumping, he went to expose the poisonous truth. Moving like this, his once pale face became flushed and rosy. This caused the crowd to gasp. Clearly, they were shocked over this sudden change. "Poisoned." Looking at the two Han men, he sarcastically said, "Such skill. I respect them. Respect." The two men couldn't help but pale. Not only did the fallen man not turn white, but he also looked like he wasn't poisoned. The surrounding people also started to boo. They weren't stupid. How could they not be able to understand the situation? They didn't know what motives these men had, but to slander Basi's rice stand was shameful. Luckily, that Sky Tower disciple had uncovered the truth. More and more people had started to despise the men and began to praise that young man. This young man was naturally easy to like, and with this incident his reputation skyrocketed, while Xianxia secretly confirmed his suspicions that they were all acting. They were acting out the play of an honorable knight uncovering foul play and protecting the weak to gain a reputation. If he hadn't seen them together earlier in the alley, he was afraid he would have also believed them. But why did they go to all that effort? The two Han men could no longer keep up the accusations. Staring fiercely at the young man, they asked, "Brat, who are you to interfere in my brother's issues?" Gracefully, he turned around and arrogantly replied, "I am Sky Tower's Sumu." Hearing those words, one of the men became afraid. "No wonder you are a Sky Tower disciple. A dragon within here!" Today, these two brothers have admitted defeat. If fate allows it, I hope we will meet again. This sentence felt like it was planned beforehand, making Xianxia laugh. Sumu just laughed coldly. "Leave safely, for I won't escort you." In a situation like this, and if it were indeed no accident as Xianxia suspected, then the two men would leave, and Sumu would seek out the audience's praise, especially Boss's. But Xianxia didn't want Boss He to be fooled. He quickly said before those two men left, "You can't let them go. They are too despicable. Today's victim was his rice stand, but if we don't teach them a lesson, they may target Liu Shi's clothes shop or Xianxi's grocery." Most people who heard this couldn't help but notice that his statement was correct. How could they let these despicable villains leave so easily? If they let them go today, they might target another shop and leave them destroyed tomorrow. If it came to that, they might not be as lucky as Boss He. Thinking of this, the people started blocking the path before the two Han men. From his position, Yang Kai could clearly see the panic in Su Mu's eyes. This, in turn, leads Su Mu to the source of the voice, Yang Kai. While the two men exchanged glances and quickly readjusted their expressions. Chuckling, Yang Kai added, "Fellow disciple, there is a saying that goes, 'Good people follow through to the end.' Just like how Buddha went to the West. Why don't you and I both arrest these two criminals?" Seeing Yang Kai's thin and fragile physique, Su Mu couldn't help but burst out in annoyance. "Who's your fellow disciple?" Yang Kai replied, "I am also a Sky Tower disciple. I entered the main gate 3 years ago." This made Su Mu speechless, for he really was a fellow disciple. Now, without further ado, Yang Kai came forward and said, "Throughout the land, it is important to be reasonable, while one must also be chivalrous. So, brother, you must not let only me take the benefit. Let us arrest these two cowardly men and help Boss He claim justice while helping Black Plum Village." With this statement, the surrounding people began to applaud. This filled Su Mu with anxiety. He felt like this unknown brother had dragged him upon a pirate ship. Even though he wanted to escape, he couldn't. Those two men also glanced continuously at Su Mu, looking for guidance, help, assistance. Looking at them, Su Mu couldn't do anything for them. "Brother, let's go." Pulling on Su Mu's shoulder, Yang Kai rushed over. "What is this?" Su Mu was in tears, wondering where did this brother come from. This really ruined my plans. But it had already reached this point, so Su Mu could only charge over. While preparing to capture them, he was also signaling for them to seek an opportunity to escape. The two men nodded, but Yang Kai saw the exchange and guessed what they were doing. He was worried that Boss He would be tricked, so he took extra precautions and shouted, "Friends, fellow owners, don't just watch. Come help us, two brothers." Hearing this, Boss He also went to help. The rice stand's youngsters joined in, their hands carrying empty rag bags. Boss He was previously abused by these two men, so naturally they would want revenge. Seeing that Boss He had acted, the crowd couldn't just watch, and they all flocked toward the two men to capture them. Previously, the two men weren't worried, but their faces paled as they saw this scene. So they quickly yelled, "Don't hit the face." While protecting their face, they curled up on the ground,